Well, welcome to Business Lounge. We are very honored to have the Irish Consul-General, David Costello, today. First question from our audience today, we would like to know what does your work as an Irish Consul-General entail?
Well, it's a really interesting job. No 2 days are the same. I'm the nominee of the Irish government in Hong Kong, and our job is to be the interface between the government of Hong Kong and the government of Ireland if there's any issues to be dealt with. More often, though, our role tends to be to represent the interests of Irish people in Hong Kong. Over the last year or so, the pandemic has been to the forefront of people's concerns. So we have to make sure that we provide the services needed. If people are in trouble or are having difficulties or need to interact with the state, we're here to help them. Just generally, if they need consular advice or consular assistance, so and we're here to serve the needs of the Irish people. And then after that, then it's about business promotion and promoting trade links between the two jurisdictions here between Hong Kong and Ireland.
Indeed, actually, you've done a lot of work, and the reason why we met in 2018 was when we were bringing the Irish minister to attend the Asian Financial Forum, together with the Dublin Chamber of Commerce and the Iron Hong Kong Business Forum. So thanks again for hosting such a wonderful reception for us.
That's the one thing. The consulate, even though the Irish history here is really deep and broad and rich, dating back to the beginning of colonial rule here in 1840s and even before that. So we have very rich history, but the consulate was only opened in 2014. And I'm very, very pleased that really since then, we've had an Irish government representation at virtually every Asia Financial Forum since.
Yes.
Ireland is a global centre for financial services. If we're credible about our reputation as a centre for financial services, it's important to be present at the big conferences. And so, you know, there's the Asia Financial Forum, which is the seminal conference for financial service professionals in Asia. And we've borrowed the model a little bit, and we have a European Financial Forum in Dublin every February. And so we're delighted a couple of years ago to persuade the Financial Services Secretary, James Lau, to go to Dublin, I think it was February 2018. So that was a great achievement, or 2019, I should say. A great achievement to have Secretary Lau there, and he did some great work. And I know your team in London and the team in Brussels did a great bit of work in terms of supporting his visit and put a great programme around his contribution to the European Financial Forum.
You're very kindly to send me this wonderful calendar you and your team have prepared. That until then, I realized how many Irish history actually in Hong Kong. A lot of road names are actually of the Irish history. So how well known is Ireland in Hong Kong?
There's a latent information about Ireland that people don't realize is about Ireland. And so the calendar was just an attempt to kind of do a nice little public diplomacy effort around trying to recover the Irish story in Hong Kong. We're actually writing a far more extensive book about it, where we're trying to draw together all the information that's in the public domain. So simple little things like 9 of the first 15 governors were Irish. I think we've identified 30 streets that have Irish, are named after Irish people. That's only 12.
Here.
Yeah, that's only 12 micro stories really of what's going on. We expect to have a hardback book about 250 pages in size, ready for the end of the year to be launched here in Hong Kong. 5 of the 20 Chief Justices pre-97 were from Ireland. I was up on the Peak a couple of weeks ago and I discovered a house on Coombe Road built by a very famous Irish barrister in the 1880s, a guy called J.J. Francis, who would have been instrumental in helping the local Chinese community establish Polong Kuk, for example, and other kind of, he did a huge amount of work around supporting the local indigenous Chinese, kind of ethnically Chinese communities in the 1870s through to when he died in 1901. It's just a small sample of it. There's a great book called the Irish, the Irish in the Hong Kong Police Force, written by Patricia O'Sullivan, who documents the story of 3 or 4 generations of families from Mitchelstown and County Cork that have come and served in the Hong Kong police between the 1860s and the 1950s. In fact, 2 of the police commissioners were Irish here in Hong Kong. Irish nationals will represent Hong Kong in the Olympics. And one of them is a real medal hope. And you know, so we have Siobhan Hawkey, who's a superb swimmer, and she's qualified to represent Hong Kong. She's born in Hong Kong. Her father is Irish, you know, and they, you know, so she's born and raised in Hong Kong, swam for Hong Kong, and now in her early 20s is going to represent Hong Kong in the Tokyo Olympics in a few weeks' time. And Thomas Heffernan Ho, who's the son of our former Vice Honorary Consul General, or Vice Honorary Consul, he's representing Hong Kong in the equestrian, in the 3-day eventing. All the best. What's really interesting, though, is that a number of the government cabinet members here in Hong Kong, members of the government, you know, have been educated by Irish priests and nuns. You know, again, just there's a whole generation, you know, when Hong Kong was changing, you know, after World War II, particularly when there was a huge influx of Chinese migrants from the Cultural Revolution. A lot of these families were educated by the Irish, and you know, a lot of the entrepreneurship and the quality of education here and everything is really down to the seminal work done by these Irish religious right through the 40s, 50s, 60s and onwards. So part of the job here is to kind of capture, put it into a book so that everybody knows about it and appreciates the kind of connectivity between Ireland and Hong Kong. You know?
When you actually moved in Hong Kong in 2018, how easy was it to settle in, and were there any particular challenges about living or working in Hong Kong?
Well, it's an amazing city, you know, and I think that, I suppose the first thing that struck me, it's such an iconic place. We know it from the movies, we know it from, you know, and ironically, actually, the thing that I was looking forward to most was the New Year's Eve fireworks on the waterfront, because for Irish people watching this, you know, it's hard to conceive how small and compact Hong Kong is as a city of 7 million people. You know, but the landmass of Hong Kong is the equivalent of County Longford in Ireland, which is one of our smaller counties in Ireland. But that doesn't even tell a story. So when I left the airport on my first day, I was just marveling at how green the place is. You know, there's so much natural landscape here. It's amazing. It's 40% of Hong Kong is natural park. And then another 25% of it is recreational use, you know, which is still green, or farming, or, you know, so it's only 25% of the landmass has buildings on it, and only 6% of the landmass has residential buildings. So that kind of, it's amazing then with that. We have 7 million people living on 6% of County Longford in terms of land. Skyscrapers for people living in. It's incredible as you're driving. See these clusters of almost pine needles that shoot up in the sky, and they're going up 50, 60, 70 stories in some instances, and people kind of living in these spaces. But the urban design is fantastic, because a lot of these are clustered around metro stations, which makes public transport very, very accessible. And, you know, so you can get anywhere in Hong Kong.
You start your career, you know, you have worked in Mexico, and also your career also includes a period working as a lecturer. Ireland is renowned for its highly educated workforce. Is education a priority sector for?
It is, yeah. We work very closely with the colleges. We have one of our agencies is called Education in Ireland, and they're based in Beijing, and they come down to Hong Kong for careers fairs, and we support that team as much as we can in terms of promoting Ireland as a destination for international education. Ireland as their first choice, but then when we talk to them and they see what's on offer, you know, it's one of the safest places in the world. We've the youngest population in Europe, you know, 20% of our population are under the age of 14, you know, so, and half the population is under 35 or something like that. So as a very, very young population, you know, Hong Kongers can connect with that kind of dynamic, and we've got superb schools, you know, at third level, you know.
Right in the middle of Dublin.
Yeah, well, Trinity College, right in the centre of Dublin, is dating back over 400 years, and it really is a monument of what quality education is. University College Dublin, Royal College of Surgeons, is a single faculty school for medicine, and has, I think, is, you know, this. I think, four very eminent Hong Kong surgeons who are honorary fellows of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. And this year, for example, we partnered with the Royal College of Surgeons to present the honorary fellowship to Professor C.M. Low, who's the president of the Hong Kong Shenzhen Hospital. So this new cross-border hospital that's being built here between University of Hong Kong and Shenzhen. So Professor Lowe was awarded the honorary fellowship of the RCSI this year, and so I hosted a small event